2, 3. Know when you're ready. I'll start the June 24th, 2025 City of Perry Council meeting. Remind everybody to silence their phones. And Ms. Vanita is going to lead us to the opening prayer, followed by the pledge.
Okay. Lord Heavenly Father, we come to you right now, Lord, with our heads and humble hearts, Lord, to tell you thank you for this day, oh Jesus. Lord, I ask you right now to come into this room, Lord, and decrease each and every one of us, Lord, to make the right decisions for the city, oh Lord. Lord, I ask you that you keep Shirley in your prayers, and I don't know what's going on with Mr. Bill, but make sure that you keep your arms wrapped around him. And these blessings we ask, Lord Jesus, in your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to our meeting. We Miss Amy, roll call.
Councilmember Brines. Councilmember Hampton. Councilmember Woodhull.
Here.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Here.
Mayor Ketchum.
Here. Number 3, approval of items on the consent agenda. A, approval to read by title only, ordinances 1053 and 1054. And B, approval to read by title only, resolution 2025-14.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Woodhull.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Number 4, receiving requests from the general public. Do we have anybody in the general public who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Hearing and seeing no one, we'll go on to number 5. Do we have any bids, RFQs, Carly? No, okay. Number 6. Agenda item 6A. Michelle Curtis to provide an update of the TCDA activity and council will take any action deemed necessary.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this information. As you know, we want to try to retain the county development board. He wants to keep the leadership in the community and the city and the county updated quarterly so that you know what we're doing to try to bring new business to the community and strengthen our current business. And I'm a board member. I'm also the treasurer of the TCDA. And Jeff Bryson is here with me as well as a board member. So he's here to help answer questions. Right. And I'm sort of the secretary, as you know, Bob and Laura Goodella are the consultants that actually do the day-to-day work. And we are the board that back them up, that consider what they were bringing to us, and we make suggestions, and we all participate. But they're the ones who really got hands and feet doing all the work. So they either to be here today, so you get me. So let's move to the next slide, actually. And we want any feedback, suggestions. So as we go through, don't hesitate to stop, ask questions, make suggestions while we're going through the presentation as well. Next slide. So, you know, basically, we our operation is a bit like a three-legged stool. You know, we've got to be sure we help our existing industry and we don't lose any more industry. We don't need any more of that. So it's important for us to be a support, and we have been for some of the folks that are doing some expansions. And so we do reach out to our existing industry and make sure that we support it there. We also need to recruit new industry, and we've got to have qualified sites available, because the people who are coming looking to bring new business, they're ready to get it started, and they want a site ready to begin, basically. So we'll be talking about the outreach that we've been doing, as well as the tools that we've established. So with that, we'll move to the next slide. And so what we really are is economic development is not just Taylor County Development Authority. All of the people and the businesses that want to come here, they're looking at what's going on in the community with regard to education and workforce development, you know, and we've got fabulous situation going on with our Taylor County Big Bend College, Technical College. It is our healthcare, it's the housing available. It's there to do with tourism, things, development, retail. So they look at everything, but our focus is on industrial development. So we're not looking for bringing necessarily retail kind of business. We're looking for bringing in industry. Because what we've targeted, we've tried to target higher pay scale. What we're looking for is returning higher pay scale to our community through industrial development. So that is our focus. Next slide, please. And so we're not all things to all people, but we do have a lot of things to offer. With our rural location, that's a benefit for a lot of industries because some industries don't need to be close to a large population. So we've got that here, we've got that covered. Our natural resources of abundant timber and a very ample groundwater supply to support industrial base. We've got 50 megawatts of Duke Energy ready to rock and roll when we get somebody in here. And that's a big plus for us because a lot of communities don't have that. And there's about a 3-year wait time to get new power. So the Duke Industry power that we've got is a help. It's a big help. People are looking at us because of that as well. Then we have a great natural gas utilities in the community. We have the rail service, and you know we've got a technical skilled workforce. We have people that have skills in the past and are continuing to get skills at the vocational school. They may have to go work somewhere else for a while, but many folks would be glad to come back home to Taylor County if they had the higher pay scale and therefore bring their skills back to us. So we are focusing on light and heavy industries. That's what we're looking for when we are recruiting industry to the community. And we already have defense industry in here. And, you know, with the forests around, you can be isolated from homeowners and neighborhoods and things like that. So those kinds of things are a help. We've got aluminum fabrication here. We've got people that have the steel fabrication skills as well as all the wood manufacturing and logging skills and things like that. So we actually have a lot of skills here. We have a lot of benefits already in place with the current infrastructure that's left over from the businesses that have actually left the community. Those good infrastructures are still left, so that's a plus. Okay. Okay, so our priorities, number one, support existing industry, and we have done that. And the existing industries that have been growing have asked us not to necessarily share some of the things that we've done to help them because it's confidential. But if there are barriers to them getting something done that they need done, whether it's a zoning issue or they need some funding or some infrastructure support or things of that sort, we can help them with that. Laura DeBella is absolutely connected very, very tightly with the state of Florida in Commerce Department. She used to be head of it. So she has talks with those people several times a week. And they give her a call when they have an industry coming looking for something that might work in Taylor County. Give her a call directly. So that we trying to recruit the new industry. And we've got to have sites available. Those are our priorities. We've got to have those sites available. We've made some progress since our last meeting. We'll tell you about those in more detail, having those sites. Okay, and since we met last, and this is what everybody wants to hear. I want to hear it, we have had 9 new industries expressing interest in Taylor County. So that's exciting, since last quarter, 9 new companies. Now we lost 6 who were previously interested because they narrowed down, and of course, they do a nationwide search. It's not just Taylor County. It's not just Florida. So they're doing nationwide searches, but, so we are at least getting new people coming to take a look seriously. So we got 9 new ones. We lost 6 industries that were previously interested. And then 4 have been sort of inactive. They haven't been doing anything. Doesn't mean they're gone. It's just they're like, they may have some tariff issues, because they're from another country, or they want to, their customers are in another country, we have to ship their products overseas. Some of them have some financing issues, and part of that is truly, just the world affairs right now have disrupted things to the point that, people just making a pause just to make sure there's not going to be no disruption to their business moving forward. And there's some electric property issues with one of the accounts. So 4 big solar companies are inactive, but they're still on the list. Doesn't mean they're off. And we had 1 site visit with the new vendor, or with a vendor who selected another Florida county. And basically it was between us and I believe it was Columbia County, and they chose Columbia. Part of the reason is transportation, out of Jackson. That's important. Things of that sort. But we may never really know why they chose them exactly, but, they were also concerned that the site they were looking at was the site here in, downtown, and Andy Jackson's property, the Rams Lake City property. And they were a little concerned being that close to residential neighborhoods, because their industry does make some noise, in the manufacture. Although we tried to encourage them, the community was still interested. And, but they had a sawmill next door and they make those too. So it wasn't that we were afraid of, having manufacturing. And also they wanted to get 80 megawatts of power. We only had 50 in 3 years before they could get up to their desired megawatts. They still got that issue where they went. The power still an issue where they went. So that isn't the only thing that they chose there. But Laura, DeBella has assured them that if anything goes awry there, we still would love to have them. And the next slide. This one I really like because, you sort of like to know, well, who's looking at me? Yeah, who's looking at come to our county? Now, Jeff and I can't tell you who these people really are, except for the project team. Laura and Bob are the ones who actually know, and the people in Commerce Department know what the name of the company is and the name of the person and all that. We have the project names and what industry they're in and how big they are and how many jobs. And but these that are on the list right now. So you see there's heavy industry. We're not 100% sure what that means, but a $1.5 billion investment in capital equipment, that's pretty darn big. 450 jobs. It's one of the most recent add-ons to our list. There are some wood products, not a whole lot of wood products companies right now are looking, but there is wood products company that is still interested. We've got several munitions and defense type industries looking that are offer a pretty good number of employees, over 110 or 110 and then 123. A biofuels company, which also would usage. And then this Project Gamma, which is a munitions defense, that would be a small employment initially, but phase up to we have an aerospace interested. We don't know anything about what the size of the company, but a data center is still looking and then several light industries and another munitions defense. So that's what's on the table right now. Those are the kind of companies that are looking at Taylor County seriously right now, and we're glad for that. Very happy. Okay, this is one of the things that we've completed since last quarter, and it's that brochure you got. We had old materials from years ago, and they were still very attractive and all, but a lot of things have changed. And this is now a glossy brochure that we can send people either email or hard copy that gives the facts and figures about Taylor County, what we have to offer you. And, the great thing is it sums it all up. I mean, you know, all those facts and figures are sort of easy, one-liners that let you know who is. We got natural gas pipeline already right here in Taylor County. You know, we've got rail lines right here in Taylor County. We've got 50 megawatts of power. Here's how far we are from the airport, from ports that we ship out. So, anyway, this is what we use now as we talk to people about the community, what we have to offer. So the next slide also is related to one thing I want to mention on this one, which I really like. We've been trying to build up the number of sites that are ready for new business because that's something they want to see. And now we have a number of sites identified that are ready for business. First, it's one of the site you own on Highway 30 that's across the street from the old GP site. That one is has a lot of interest, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute. About something that Duke Energy is doing for us. We were very fortunate. This community was very fortunate that Duke Energy basically chose Taylor County and one other place in Florida to actually pay for and do a site readiness evaluation of the site. And so they chose your site on Highway 30. And so that job is almost done. I think it's in the month of June. Yeah, final report is due June 25th. But they've already conducted the site selection group visit. They've already evaluated the property and the utilities, the infrastructure that's nearby, or what it would take to get it there if needed. So they've done the initial assessment, site visit, and the final report will be ready the 25th. And why that is important is there are these contractors across the U.S. and actually really across the world. Their job is to help new industry find a site that meets all their criteria. And so this site readiness information that Duke is prepared for us for your site, then will be given to all these site consultants that they'll have it to compare and compete with other people who have their site readiness stuff already done as well. Now, so we'll have 2 sites that have been completed in Taylor County when that's done, where we have everything that a site consultant will be able to evaluate our community based on compared to others. But we have other lands available as well. Four Rivers has made, John, if you back that up, so if you look at that, there is a large yellowish green color on the north side of that map and one that's on the east side of that map. Those are properties owned by Four Rivers, and it's over 3,000 acres. And that information, they say, hey, anybody wants to build there, we'll make those sites available. And of course, the infrastructure has to be built and things to support it. But there are grants and things like that help with that. But we didn't actually have that commitment, but we have it now. Really appreciate what we're putting that up. And we've got Andy Jackson's property, right behind the old Kmart site. It is already ready to go. And several other sites as well that landowners have expressed interest in giving us the right to put it on our map and share the information. So, that was something very important for us to do, to get those sites identified. We didn't actually have that. Okay. And when Duke did their assessment, they thanked us, and they sort of made a nice comment. And so Bob put it on the slide. I thought I really wanted to share it with you as well. Their comment was, we spend time in all types of communities across the country, but the ones that stand out are the communities with heart, story to tell. Thank you for making that story come to life during our visit. And they were quite impressed with what our community has to offer. As far as skilled workers, education system and vocational, college to support their industries, and the fact that we will actually change curriculums and add curriculums to train their people in whatever skills they need. That was extremely impressive. So let's talk about the other sites that we have available in the community. The West Fraser Sawmill site is very desirable site. And, you know, I'm new to this, you know, I'm a forester, so I spent my years working in the wood industry. So I didn't truly understand how important a site that's ready to go really is to these people trying to build the industry. They do want everything cleaned off of it. They want a clean environmental assessment. But some of the things, some of the features on the sites they want to keep, like some of them want to keep courthousing. Definitely want to keep rail sidings, things of that sort, or gas pipeline if it's on site, things like that. But the West Fraser Sawmill site has now been bought by John Sherrill. And John has done this over a dozen times where he's bought these sites and cleaned them off and got them ready and sold them to the industry. So he doesn't just keep these sites. So his intent is to clean the site up and sell it. There are already several companies that are very interested in that site. So that's a positive. And it won't take that long to clean that site up. So it just has gone under contract, or they may have closed, they closed on. Yeah, last week. So that was a positive, and then it's now they're in the process of cleaning it up and getting it ready for the new buyers. And so we're excited about that opportunity. That will help us as well.
I believe he owns the other property that's going through the Duke site readiness.
Pardon me?
He owns the other property that's going to the Duke site readiness.
Okay. Okay, so what we know on the GP Foley cellulose site, this is recognize that we do have direct contact with them through Laura, and because we brought one of those big companies at the top one on our list recently that was interested, got his attention, and they go, oh yeah, okay, let's talk some more. So they're not ready yet to actually turn it over because they just now started their site demolition began on the 29th of May, and they're expecting to complete it by the end of August. They are retaining the wastewater treatment system, two warehouses and as much rail as possible. So that's where the status of the getting that site ready is at the present time. Four Rivers did file suit against Georgia Pacific regarding the pipeline, and you saw that probably in the newspaper. And I don't have any more information on that except that that's something that's they're working through, I'm sure. And also, the last one is sort of ice finally cracked when it gets interest with a big company coming in serious about it. So we are expanding our outreach as well. You know, we've got our little brochure ready now. We attend these site readiness meetings and site meetings with site selectors. But we really do need to do some upgrading, and we've applied for a grant with Duke Energy's Foundation for Economic Development, and to help us update our website and get it more up to date and, you know, interactive and all those kind of things. So we would know in July if we actually were successful with that. Next, we update you. Hopefully we would have something going on. So in summary, we really have had a lot of interest. A lot. You know, we're close, but we'll have it. Appreciate your support. Each of us are attending things we can, and recently Jeff and a couple other of the TCPA members attended a visit in Alabama. We would love to go ahead to look at this new facility they have up there where they're doing the glue lamination these huge beams and all that. One, it's a new industry, none of us had ever seen it, so we wanted to understand what it was and could it come to Perry and, you know, could our people do this thing and, what's the potential? So we've done that kind of information. So, you know, Jeff, is helping to look at things as well with his experience in the airport. We have people that are interested in doing, business at the airport. So his help is helping us scope some of those things. Right there. Any questions?
Thank you, appreciate it. Agenda item 6B, council to review DMH board applications and make an appointment, and council to take any action deemed necessary. We have two applicants.
Hope Webb, Elizabeth Eastman. Or the possibility that both of them would be direct choices based on what they reviewed. Both of them would be great fits. Hope got her application in first.
What was that?
Hope got her application in first.
Oh, yeah. She did.
Want here to make a motion? Motion for Art Webb. Second.
Didn't hear. You nominate her.
I made Hope Webb.
Second.
Councilmember Woodhull,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Okay, agenda item 6C, public hearing and final reading of ordinance 1053. Council will take any action deemed necessary. An ordinance of the city of Perry, Florida, relating to the rezoning of the less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application Z 25-01 by the property owner of said acreage, amending the official zoning atlas of the city of Perry land development regulations, providing for rezoning from residential, conventional, single-family 3, RSF 3, to residential, mixed, single-family mobile home 3, or RSF MH 3, of certain lands within the corporate limits of the city of Perry, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on this or any discussion among the board members? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Councilmember Woodhull,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Agenda item 6D. Public hearing and final reading of ordinance 1054 to adopt International Property Maintenance Code and to take any action deemed necessary. An ordinance of the city of Perry, Florida, adopting the 2024 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, regulating and governing the conditions and maintenance of all property, buildings, and structures by providing the standards for supplied utilities and facilities and other physical things and conditions essential to ensure that structures are safe, sanitary, and fit for occupation and use, and the condemnation of buildings and structures unfit for human occupancy and use, and demolition of such existing structures in the city of Perry, providing for the issuance of permits and collection of fees therefore, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And it's just basically working towards getting a lot of these buildings cleaned up that just are sitting stagnant.
It is, and I'm all for that. I'm concerned that we not make it too strict for the average homeowner. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense to me. I have the same concern. I mean, I don't think we're looking for everybody to turn their houses or businesses into a country club or a golf course or
Use the term.
anything like that. It's just, I mean, we have buildings with the roofs coming in and such as that, or some don't have roofs at all.
Yeah, we need to make them safe, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Still have leniency with ourselves. This is just to have the code out there. Be able to use. Not that we're gonna go to every property and read them every word of that thing, say your grass is 3.5 inches, not 3. I think we're here to do. Just to have everything documented in there that we can use it. Right now, we have nothing.
But what about the penalties? How strict or steep are they?
Up to a number, so that's how, again. You start reading. Not to exceed.
So it's not changing right now from anything that we've got until we made such a decision. Is that,
Don't know what the current. Here it says fees. That's
fees for permits, inspections, and other services required by this code shall be established by resolution of the city council and may be amended from time to time.
probably established. This is laying out penalties for breaking the property maintenance code. I don't know, it's a Jamie question.
Does any of this come down to interpretation on the part of the code enforcement officer? Or is it pretty plain?
Not if the guides follow. We've already had a process in place for dealing with these type of structures. We didn't have enough of a definition on what these structures actually were and how to finish the problem whenever it goes through the Board of Adjustments or the magistrate. So we already have an established process and procedure for dealing with these buildings. This is not recreating that. It's already there. It's already established. We've been doing it for, yeah, well, more recently, in the last couple of years, we've been a little more active. But
Yeah.
this just helps us with the problems that we couldn't address with our current code. This is an internationally accepted code
Yeah,
that we'll be following.
It's almost like building code in a way, like in a way.
Yes, exactly.
That's the best thing I can liken it to. Something standardized.
I just don't want it to wind up being oppressive for the citizens. That's all I'm concerned about.
If we find that's what it's still, we can always do it.
And there's already a process in place. If somebody pulls a permit for an issue we're addressing, the clock stops as it is now. And that wouldn't change any of that. That's the handling of it. This is just setting the standards what they should follow. So if they were to start the work, pull the permits, start the work on the problem, then we would stop anything until they stop, we're doing the work or the permit expires and we check up on the action. So this isn't recreating the process, it isn't anything new other than these are the standards that are accepted internationally for safe buildings, period.
And that's where the problem's been, right, our commercial buildings. We've been holding private property owners more accountable for how they're keeping their property than our commercial
Yes.
buildings. So I understand the biggest plus is that it actually gives teeth and language holding commercial property owners accountable, because it's already. I mean, pretty much the only thing that comes through, except for those situations like recently with the signs being put up by businesses, almost everyone coming to code enforcement are private homeowners.
This would allow us, like Hope was saying, to expand to those buildings we are seeing now, why haven't we done anything with that yet? Well, we haven't had the tool to do it yet. This would give us those tools.
The word in the WR is hazardous.
Now, would you still have to have, someone complain on it before you do anything or?
Now, there's some of these things, if it's a true safety issue, we're not gonna wait on a complaint. Why would we wait for a complaint to come in and somebody get hurt because nobody's complaining? We're gonna address it immediately. And we're doing that with residential as it is now. If there's, the roof's caved in or a wall's gonna collapse into somebody else's property, we're already dealing with that without a complaint. And we should be doing that. We should be reactive and we should be proactive in the safety side.
This is mandated by the International Code Council and updated every 3 years.
So it's reviewed regularly. It's updated as needed. We're adopting this standard. I'm in favor of it. I think it would help us tremendously take care of some of the problems we're dealing with.
Anybody in the audience that would like to weigh in on this? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Dustin Wooden on 231 North Jefferson, so this is my roof, so it's probably seen it going downtown.
Put your mic up, please. The mic.
I own the former Wells building. It's missing its roof after Hurricane Helene. We've been in battle with Lloyd's of London since then. Prior to that, we lost the roof covering with Idalia. We were kind of involved in another battle with the SBA. So some of my questions kind of stem around, I'm listening to the code enforcement. I do understand these codes, and I'm actually in agreement with a lot of this myself. My questions actually stem from, do these condemnations as they're described, do they give the homeowners or the property owners leverage or teeth in that fight against the insurance? Because what we're faced with, and I'm just gonna speak from my perspective, I'm at a year right now. I've got $180,000 checks sitting on the counter. There's $140,000 from the SBA sitting in the account. Not an engine. I've had 5 PEs in my property, 5 contractors at my property. I work for an international engineering firm. No one can even say if this building's safe. So if you all have the mechanism to determine its safe, salvageability, why are we not telling you this? I'm all for this. I really am. But at my expense, because I'm at the point, why don't I get my building condemned and just cash out? Leave it a dirt lot. I bought that to save this property. I didn't know these storms would come. But these are the questions I have. This is the journey I've got. I work a job, I got the kids, I do all the stuff all the adults do. And then I try to sue Lloyd's of London. Then I try to make a contractor come say something's possible. They haven't seen this stuff. That might as well be the pyramid of most contractors. It really is. Portland cement wasn't invented until 1953. These buildings, we think that are just, we might be opening cans of worms we don't understand. If you repoint brick right now with cement, you've induced a failure from an engineering standpoint. So any brick building that's been touched here, if it wasn't done with lime, it's over. I think that we're not getting the right information. So I do agree with this, I really do, but not at the expense of, I'm not wealthy. I can make a lot more money turning that into a pile of dirt instead of a building, I really can. I don't want a pile of dirt, I want that building, I want my town to have something. I'm born and raised here, I joined the military, I left, I come back, I want a home for my family. So these are the things that I would ask you to either consider or reach out to us if you aren't sure. I've never gotten a phone call, no phone ringing, nobody saying, hey dude, how do we do this? I'm not, everything that she can attest, she's a consultant for the state. Me personally, I have on my plate exactly what the hospital does and the school system does. My burden of proof is the exact same as the entire school system to get their roof fixed. And I'm just a guy going to work. I left work. I'm going back to work tonight. I got to turn in engineering reports. But my building's gonna have no roof and we're gonna sit here. So I'm all for this, but I just wanted people to understand, as the one person that downtown, I am the elephant in the room, no doubt about it. That's the elephant in the property, no doubt about it. But the bigger fish that are coming will not, this code adherence is gonna be easy for them. They will site clear this whole city. And they will. This will be Tampa, like that. So these are considerations that need to be made. If our locals can't adhere to these codes, and if we aren't giving our locals the tools to utilize them appropriately, and I'm not talking about sitting on your butt not doing work. We're actively emailing, turnaround time, 1 week, 1 day, doesn't matter. Congressmen, senators, doesn't matter. So these are the things that you need to think about, or that we all need to think about as a community. Because I didn't climb off that limb because I just want a headache, I promise you. I was trying to save a building that I thought was salvageable, and I still think that it is. But every engineer that sees it loses his mind. They're just like, man, I don't know where to start. with this."
Yeah, Dustin, what are they saying about it?
They don't know. So I can infer, they don't say it, but I think it's savable, but you get into the cost effect, the viability of it, cost effectively, cost feasibility. But then you also get into, they don't want it on their plate. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a PE say, yeah, that seems possible. It's like, cool, you want to sign the permit? It's like, nah, I don't want to do that. Same thing with a contractor. Hey, we got a repair plan. We're gonna do this. So like right now, where I'm literally bound up with stuff is like insurance has already issued me an erroneous report. I can disprove it. I'm gonna have to get an adjuster and sue it, but it's not gonna be today. Like, that's just that. They want quotes. No one wants to give me a quote. No one thinks it's possible. I think the only way to save that building is either cut it off, cut it in half and put a metal building inside, which we found a property like it equipment. We've reached out to them. We're trying to find the contractors they use out of Jacksonville, but again, it's like chasing a rabbit. It really is. Trying to find who did this work, get it permitted, get it certified. So I think it's salvageable. Aside from that, if I can get the money up to what they owe me, my policy was for $550. They sent me a check for $180. So I got to go in my free time and try to figure out how to get $380 back. You know, you argue against market value, that eats 170 like that. They degrade things without doing non-destructive testing, and there's no mechanism for the average citizen to go back and have them retroactively, hey, you erroneously degraded that, you shouldn't have degraded that. They don't really care, because the burden of proof's on the homeowner or the property. They can tell you the steel is, like, they degraded $50,000 in steel in my building. I have a brick and wood building. I don't have 50,000 in steel. So the broader group collectively doesn't really understand or isn't even witness to those things happening. Having concurrent with that, though, we don't have formal historical society, period, or designated zone. It is widely believed that we have a historical designation, but we don't. 3 properties are included on our historical register. We've got post office, the old jail, and the Methodist church. Everything else is not a historical building. Doesn't matter if it should be, just isn't. So we could have real infrastructure people, however that works. Right now it's individuals, but collectively, there's no real protection at neither the state nor the federal level. These are just old buildings right now. So there's a lot of other knobs that are infrastructure, ordinance-based, or, you know, those are knobs we could really turn. We really get some involvement with these state level organizations, historical preservation organizations, federal preservation organizations, to leverage that with all of our property owners, not just myself, my mom, not Earl, I mean, everyone. But those will really give us, because they pay on the dollar, 20%, 40%, whatever. That turns my 180 into 360, like that. Ish.
Yeah, but there's a major problem with registering historical stuff because
Agreed.
it pulls them, it ties your hands.
I understand that.
Where you're very, very limited on what we can do.
I would make the argument, my hands are
Yeah.
tremendously tied as well now.
Well, I'd like to weigh in whenever you're finished.
Absolutely, go, yeah, and so that was just, that's the experience I've had, that's actively what I'm facing it, but again, I think that these things, because I'll utilize this. If I meet the because I'm an opportunist, if I meet the criteria for condemnation, surely that meets the criteria to give the insurance what they need. I mean, right, we would agree with that, and if not, I think that we would need to go back to the drawing board about the condemnation. Because what really sucks as the private citizens, we can't keep not being able to utilize this for that. I can't have y'all tell me it's not savable. They tell me it is savable, and I just sit here and hold it in the middle. Like, I don't know what to do with that. So just wanted to share that. I wasn't prepared. I literally left this rushed here. So
It does bring up a good point, so who would determine if it is or it isn't with the city? I wouldn't know that either.
Say,
Building official,
good question.
I mean,
Go ahead, Jeff. Come on up.
typically we don't get into condemnation unless there's been a long process by which something's been ignored.
Okay. We don't get into by what do we determine long and ignore? Well, how long is long? So what's the duration of long? And then what is the criteria of ignore?
Ignore.
You said we don't get into condemnation unless it's been a long time, unless the property's been ignored.
I meant the person who, or the owner, because we've been dealing mostly with personal property.
Sure.
They have gone through the process and they continue to either not be responsive, often it's no response at all.
Sure.
And so there's no, because actually I think code enforcement has been re-engaged in the last year and a half.
Sure.
So as just a process for the city saying, yes, we want to continue. So that's my only experience of
Gotcha.
long, but there's no preset dates and times or, 3 months
Sure.
too long or not. So.
But understandably, to get
Right.
to that level of
Yeah.
condemnation, you have to establish that criteria on the front end. That's all I was saying.
So it wasn't the hurricanes that got the roof on your building,
Ideally, you got the decking or the
first
covering.
part?
Yeah, just the covering, all the
Right.
decking was in place, had it re-inspected, roofer put up a new roof. It's just Dustin's opinion. I will not be going back with a membrane roof. I don't think those are good ideas personally. It's just me. But basically went back with a membrane roof, while we were trying to get the rest of our funding, because, so the first section was 30 grand, the next section was 100 grand roof. That took a year to get that funding, and in that time, when Helene hit, so my funding hit 7 days, the SBA is atrocious, but 7 days later, Helene ripped the old roof, the new roof off that was replaced with the membrane roof attached to the decking. It was adhered. It took about a foot thick of brick wall with it too, so 3 watts thick, 14 inches thick, a foot down. And it took that with the roof and it just sailed 120 feet. So it basically, yeah, it's an indestructible fabric. It just turns anything it's bolted to into an indestructible sail. And so that's a concern to be thought about. Well,
So the whole roof's gone off that building, is that?
no, on the front section,
Front,
there's 2 roof
okay.
elevations. The original
Yeah.
roof was a full rectangle, 1935, destroyed the back 2/3 of the second story. They built basically a wedge, just sloping down. So you end up with a 2,400 square foot and a 5,500 square foot. So we lost a 2,400 square foot roof over the main original 2-story elevation. The intent was to try to save those original trusses. None of that'll happen, but, the rest of the 5,500 is still all intact, no issues, but, we didn't get the membrane on it. So. Yeah, but the broader picture is these things, I'm for these things, but as long as we think through how to utilize them and to the benefit of the community and citizens at large, not the people that are being negligent, but the people that are like trying to do the right thing. If this thing's here, I'm grateful for it. I want to be able to take all this and then take this to my insurance company and then utilize it to continue moving forward.
If I can say something if I can. I know Officer Griffin is not here, so anybody in the city knows I work directly with him a lot with that, I have for years. He is one of those that if there is a situation going on, like what you're experiencing, he takes that into consideration. He does anything. What this is for somewhere that has part of a roof hanging off, dangling over a sidewalk that children are on.
Absolutely.
Or the community is on for safety, immediate safety issues. We don't have anything that we have to stand on for that currently.
Well, and I agree with you. So Helene happened, we did the, yeah, that's true. But we had Helene happen. We went straight to, I think it was Trunk or Treat or one of those events was downtown immediately. The very first thing I did was call the fire department, the city. I had a bunch of orange construction cones anyway, because I was running for Jim. I said, hey, how can I rip off the face of my building? I started calling people. That takes personal ownership to try to do, but I do agree with you. I was like, I don't even want people walking in front of that thing. But in the interim, at that stage, I was still awaiting reports. Insurance didn't send me a report for 4.5 months. They sent out 3 PEs, call them all you want, 4.5 months later, you get a report, half of it's wrong. And it's like, you don't get a check. There's really no mechanism you don't want to demo it. You can't really demo it. You're just like, you're stuck in this kind of awkward limbo, or at least I am. If I'm not, I've researched a ton, but if I'm not stuck in limbo, he may pop up here and give me an answer and I'll take it like that. But I agree with you 100%.
My quick question was this, if we adopt this ordinance, are there any, and I don't know what the code entails, the changes in the code, Jamie, you probably do we have any buildings in town that would automatically go on the condemnation list?
No, not immediately. There's a process to get to there.
But they would fall in the parameters, they were ignored for what length of time?
We would start a citation or a warning letter that would go out, then we would start documenting over time. the lack of responsiveness on whether or not we need to address that building.
So the answer is we do have buildings that would go on the condemnation list because of
No,
ordinance
it's-
violations.
We can't just immediately put them on
With
the
the,
condemnation.
with the passage of time, they fall into that perimeter.
If nothing is done with that building, we wouldn't say yes, they would be on there. But there's nothing that says tomorrow we're gonna put 5 buildings on it if we pass this code. No, we're gonna. The whole incentive is to get people to comply with the code, not enforce the code. We want people to follow the code, make the building safe, make them usable, so that they're a benefit to the community. We don't want to tear one building down. That's not the goal. Our goal is to make sure that we have buildings that are suitable for use and that are safe. And if people can get them safe, that's fine. That's what we want. We want compliance. We're not after tearing down buildings. That's not what we want to do because it costs us money to tear a building down. A lot of
A
money.
lot of money.
We don't want to tear one building down. We want them to be safe. But if they can't be saved, then yes, we end up following the process to have to do.
So the answer is we do have buildings that would fall in violation if nothing was done after passage of a certain length of time, if they weren't corrected.
Eventually, yes.
And do you have a number on those buildings? How many we have?
Well, I could, so, and that was kind of the alternative approach I was wanting to convey here was that without, and I'm not saying no one, that people aren't educated, we need to seek out that proper education, because I can tell you right now that no joisted masonry building period is compliant with modern code. True. That is 100% true. It's not a thin fastener, it relies on gravity. And so I can just tell you now, if you look around that building and if we aren't sure, if you look up at the brick and if you see wood sticking out of a piece of brick and no nails, that's joisted masonry. But we've got a lot of them. And I can tell you, the moment any of those experience what's interpreted or perceived as an induced failure, it needs to be re-inspected and brought up to code, which will require immediately the removal of all of those joists members or to be rectified to be compliant. So I do agree that while there isn't a list of it right now, I think that's because of an absence of educating ourselves. That's just what I think. I think 15 buildings like that would find themselves in the process first.
We gotta start somewhere,
I agree with that.
sometime.
I started 2 years ago. I'm right there with you.
To chime in, I didn't plan on speaking, but here for a reason to, I'm not a big investor, but I am looking at investing in Perry. And I've, looked at.
So, but just for record, what's-
My name's Shane Williamson, I'm actually in
Okay.
Citrus County. My son got, a job here with Duke Energy, so that's why he ended up here. So he's here. We invest in real estate properties, back in Citrus County as well. So we've been looking for some rental properties and stuff and some stuff come along just over the last couple of days that we've looked at. And that's why I'm here today to look at some properties, 8 buildings downtown, all of them in very, very, very poor shape. So we bring our own money in, we rehab, but keep the aesthetics and the appeal of the old buildings. We don't want to build anything new. We want to kind of revamp what's there. But I'll tell you, by walking through all these buildings today, this scares me, what he's saying, because it just kind of reiterates the lack of good ownership and value that they put into the last, I don't know how many years, but buildings that I'm looking at all need a lot of work. One of them could probably be condemned, at least one of them. So,
so when you say a lot of work, you mean structural?
yeah, structural work,
Gotcha.
I mean, and these buildings are downtown, so,
Mm.
some of them are closed, some of them are open. But, I don't want to have this big endeavor if I can't get some help along the way. I don't wanna make a purchase and then start getting fined right off the bat that we have an issue. There's known issues, you can see it, you can see it from the street. And it's pitiful to watch because I see a lot of value there, as far as what value that it brings to the table for the community. And it's just not, it's not happening. And you can look around and see why it's not happening. And some of the stuff, like he said, his hands are tied. And I've gotten into some more historical stuff in the past, and that's what we do is we buy some old buildings renovate them. We've never built anything from scratch. Everything that we buy, is something in this sort. So we bring it in, and most of the stuff, is old. I've got an old 40s bait shop. I've got an old 30s gas station that we converted into restaurants and bait shops and venue space. And, so I know the process in code that we can't meet those codes. And we've had really, really good help back there. And I just want to know that there's help here along the way to kind of bring some light to the table here, because this place is amazing. And this reminds me of what Citrus County was 30 years ago. And I'm a native Floridian. I was born and raised there. And I just happened to come here to get my son, established in a house built. And so I was kind of, he's looking for properties to buy just for rental income. And that's kind of how we came across this. It's exactly how we came across it. So, big issues, but I think with the right help and the right direction, and someone willing to put their own money into it, could turn things around for sure. I just, I don't have my hands tied. I don't want to inherit a bunch of problems, which I know there are some out there, and we're willing to jump through the hoops and do what it takes. But,
Are you saying you can't meet these codes? You said you couldn't meet the codes. Are you saying you can't meet these new?
well, I mean, all of those historic buildings downtown cannot meet today's codes. If I were to go in there and rip the roof off of, I mean, there's one building right in the middle of the strip that's, I have no clue why
Why it's still standing?
it's bad. So, I mean, I believe it's fixable. I mean, you're gonna have to bulldoze down a building in the middle of a strip. I mean, everything's falling in. And it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of investment, and it's a big risk. You're not getting huge money for rent. So you want to make it affordable where someone can come in there and run a business. I'm not in the business of, I'm not going to come in here and open all of my own businesses, but what I will do is I'll create really nice retail space for someone else to come in and run a business.
Right.
So I may have a business here or there throughout the community, but I'm not trying to come in and capitalize on all of the business. I want other people to bring that to the table, people that have the vision and have the dream of opening a business, but they're not going to do it in a place that they don't own, that they're going to put another couple $100,000 in. That's not going to happen. That's why it looks like that.
This is
And I can piggyback on what, sorry, John.
Go ahead.
This isn't for someone who's pulling permits and making progress. We're gonna work with you when you're doing that.
Yeah.
This is something that's been dilapidated for, been neglected for the past 30 years.
As the property owners, the biggest thing we're doing.
Yes.
Ones that acquire the building to do that.
Yeah, people from 10 states away and have never even seen the property.
They have
They
the
just,
property and they've been charging rental stuff that's substandard, and they shouldn't even have anybody in and they're renting it out.
This is the case here.
Yeah.
100%.
That's what we're trying to address with this. If you're pulling permits, trying to get things done, to get a remodel, that's not what we're at. We
Yeah.
wanna hold the ones that have the properties responsible, not take care of the problem. That's the goal.
Understood.
And just to attempt to quantify what this gentleman was speaking about, just with the few discussions I've had with several engineering firms, that are structural engineers that specialize in the preservation and restoration of that style of building, coupled with the square footage and just the minimum estimate that I've gotten to repair that building. Keep in mind, this is before I even had the cash on hand, which I still don't have all of it, but the point is the minimum I've heard is $500,000. Saw that building in half and hopefully place a metal building inside of it. And that's still with me doing some work. That's still with me creating my own demo company, doing a lot of stuff myself, doing a lot of the interior, doing a lot of other things.
so what you're saying is your outside would be a facade, basically.
Yes.
It
And
doesn't- it just-
and even that might not be salvageable.
Right.
Because there's really no way to determine that the interior, wide on a 3 wide brick building is ever truly secure again. And that's one of the engineering barriers I'm hitting. But, the high end, so the minimum end was 500, the high end is 800,000. And like he's speaking to seriously, You know, an $800,000 investment in this community where the average the rent is 800 to, I mean, on the high end, 1,500 a month. If I have 800 grand in my pocket, it ain't gonna be to make 1,500 a month, spread out over 240 years. It's just it. So, I mean, I can speak to that. Those are real quotes I've got, real estimates on my property.
I, for one, if possible, I like downtown to stay. I mean, we've already lost one side of the courthouse to, that's before the hurricanes.
I agree.
I mean, one to a fire, two to just age.
You can see them, they're on the Google Maps. If you go to Google Maps, you can search by date, look at old pictures. You can look at old revisions of Google Maps, and you can see before the Emporium was gone, before Big Ben, like, you can see, so we've lost about, I think, we've lost a chunk of downtown buildings over the last 15 years.
Or what happened to Emporium? Was that just a joist, roof joist gave out or something? Just time?
Water on. Business coming down town fair, develop regulations. 1950, every building in town was occupied. You know how much regulation they had then? No. Like Reagan said, when the government's here to help you, better watch out. I have a church that's going to occupy one of those buildings. Came over here to get a permit or whatever. But the final song, regulation came out of Gainesville, didn't it, John? I mean, what has Gainesville got to do with regulation in Taylor County, Florida?
Gotcha.
Talking about off-street parking, regulated off-street parking. Another thing we could change, that's just LDR takes them
I thought his downtown buildings were exempt from that anyway.
churches were.
Really?
It's in the downtown business district, churches have to have dedicated off-street parking.
John has got a little book over there, it's about 400 pages thick. Tell you why you can't start a business.
That's your LDRs.
Yeah.
The land development regulations.
But this isn't designed for hurricanes either. This is the property that's been dilapidated and neglected for many years.
Oh, yeah, and I didn't think this was directly to me, but I feel like in the past 2 years, you know, as a degree engineer who works as an engineer daily doing this job, I'm in a unique position to be able to not only quantify what I'm experiencing, but translate that into how it's gonna, you know, be related to these other properties pretty directly. And it's the fastest, shortest term, like, this is stuff I've been doing for the last 2 years. These are the market rates. This is what's out there. We will be faced with contracting, like reaching out to they don't want to do this stuff. Just like body men don't want to restore Chevelle. They want to pull dents out of dump trucks for city workers. You know what I mean? Fast money. And contractors, we're dealing with people, they've never seen these structures. I mean, it's foreign to them unless you're dealing with specialists. It's same thing with the engineers. I've had PEs, if they're a 30 or 40-year-old PE, good luck. If they're not 50 or 60 or 70, they won't even know what they're looking at. And then that knowledge base extends into not only that, but the people that are writing and prescribing these codes and these recommendations and enforcing. We'll have to ensure a level of training and understanding at their level to make sure that it's being adhered to appropriately. So, you know, I didn't think I was being called out. I think I'm rapidly processing through it, considering the magnitude of it. But even that, it's pretty much undoable. And I know that, I'm just continuing to do it.
Well, I know this thing isn't just about downtown, it's about
About the broader.
the whole city
That's right.
as an entirety. But
Take Greystone. I'd be glad tomorrow to turn it into a bed and breakfast. It'd benefit downtown period. They might stagger down here and buy a donut. So many rules and regulations. Not sure it's working.
That ain't the city or the county, that's the state regulations you're talking about.
Well, I can tell you what, Mont Silver, they don't have to have, sprinkler system. Mayo, they don't have to have.
If you doing it with the state,
Well-
state authority, you got to have one.
anyway, we're getting way off track here. I understand that, but so everybody's saying they want this thing, but it's gonna be a problem at the same time. I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying this. I'm a Miss Landry. I don't want it to turn into, yeah, you got one little thing and we're gonna come after you. But I do understand.
Would this, international code be worth workshopping? So, because a lot of people are speaking as to what they think it would produce and how they think it may impact them. And so maybe this is something that either could be workshopped or maybe just a special meeting on the particular code so that we're not, so, and that the council fully, as well as maybe the people, because I'm hearing, I'm sorry, Mr. Dustin, I didn't get your last name, of the idea of education, like, we're gonna be held accountable, what are we exactly gonna be held accountable for? And even though there is not like this automatic list that comes up and we don't have to have a complaint, the majority of code enforcement comes through complaints. So I don't want it to seem like you're automatically on a list of some sort. So would it be worth it? I know it's the summer months and workshops are not often well attended, but that's another option. Maybe we're not to that point yet, but that may be something.
Yeah, I was gonna go there.
Just go over this thing and find out what exactly is in it.
Yes, do a workshop on it.
Make sure there's not two sentences in there that's gonna really get us.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd be interested to hear what he was saying about getting help, like in Christopher River, how you were able to do some of those builds. I think that'd be a key part of what we're talking about. Maybe we include you if you're willing to help some of this, and Dustin as well.
Absolutely, I'd be more than happy.
I mean, I think there's valid viewpoints here that we need to consider. And,
I mean, like, Citrus County, I mean, that's the county that I've worked with for years, and, they give us, what they call concessions for stuff that we can't bring that building up to. It doesn't have parallel access, it doesn't meet a facade design requirement, or what, it doesn't meet the drainage return, you know, if we take an old building and today's code, we have to do, parallel access to the next, well, it doesn't allow for that, so we can't do a change of use on the building. I can't put a restaurant in there if it was a bake shop because it doesn't meet the requirements that change of use requires. So they give us some concessions based on what we have, what we're providing, what we want to do. And it's been a very, very simple way to get some clarity and some approval. And we don't ask for stuff that's not reasonable and that you can't see that makes common sense.
so there's something we can probably get from Citrus County.
Sure, yeah, I mean, they've been phenomenal to work with. And they're,
John, is that?
It almost sounds like what you're describing is the designation of like a multi-use. They used to designate properties as a multi-use or a combination unit.
Well, what do you say we just table this and set a workshop on it? Is everybody okay with that? Go,
Yes.
we'll just,
He's code for building inspectors.
I understand. So that's why I said maybe also get our building inspector. Then we get everything else.
okay, so we're gonna table this until we can call a workshop together and go over it. Make sure and make sure you keep that, I mean, just keep the eyes open and see what it's gonna be.
I mean, it helps clean and people that are capable of doing the right thing and are not, it'll hold them accountable and help them to, you know, hold people accountable. And you're not talking a bunch of money, it's just accountability. Whenever you drive through the community and you see stuff that's like, just, they're not held accountable, then it seems to look that way all the time. And that's contagious as, you know, as easy as the positivity is contagious. So when the neighbor looks bad, the other neighbor doesn't care about his place either, broken windows and stuff. So
Yep.
absolutely. I mean, I agree with it. But I also have some reservations as far as, you know, getting stuff done. And I know I know what you guys are going after. It makes total sense to me.
We gonna do this before the next meeting or after? What's the pleasure of the council?
They got. Fourth of
Yeah,
July.
4th of July.
You wanna do a 4th of July? Okay. About 6 o'clock,
Next week.
about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Watch the fireworks in here.
Don't say we did.
Okay, we'll do that. What about we got a meeting on the 8th. I know next week, a lot of people are probably gonna be off and gone and busy and et cetera. I'm gonna be gone later this week. What about the week of this, even though we have a meeting on the 8th, I mean, do you wanna try to do a workshop that week? Week of the 7th, July 7th?
Day before our meeting on the 8th, that's what you're saying?
I'm just talking about that whole week along in there.
Not for the Wednesday or Friday,
So,
after the 11th.
Thursday can be better for me.
what day? Wednesday?
Through the 11th.
July-
Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Mhm. That would be fine with me, we do it early.
The 9th,
Sounds
Say-
good with me.
say 4 o'clock on the 9th. Everybody okay with that? Okay. July 9th, 4 o'clock, same place, same channel.
If you don't mind, giving Amy your contact info, so we make sure that we have. And you does. Sure.
Thank y'all for being here and weighing in on this.
All right. Thank y'all. Agenda item 6E. I believe that's the one we're on.
Yeah.
Resolution 2025-14, city manager's recommended 5-year capital improvements program for fiscal year 2025 through 2030. Council will take any action deemed necessary. A resolution of the city of Perry, Florida, approving and adopting the city manager's recommended 5-year capital improvements program for fiscal years 2025 through 2030. Repeat and repeat.
Pretty big.
Thank you for consulting with your department heads on this. I think that makes a big difference.
There's that some of it later for budgeting for mine, but I got most of them together. I got them all there.
And John, that's one of the things I want to commend you on with working well with the staff. You take their suggestions in. You know? We're not used to that.
Here, put the whole thing.
Special edition.
Now you know what to do.
You get another barrel of ink and. Anybody have any comments or suggestions or anything on the CIP? Johnny, you got anything you want to add or take away or?
I have enough.
So you can't quite make it 400 million? That's the easy part. The hard part's coming up with it. Anyway, we have any more discussion? We didn't make a motion on this.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Oh, second.
Councilmember Woodward.
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Kendrick.
Yes.
Go across the road.
Okay, agenda item 6F. Council to discuss 18-month extension for asbestos concrete RIF grant. And council will take any action deemed necessary. Assuming this is talking about the water pipes.
Yes, that first spring grant, we were awarded for replacing the water main from the water plant to the tower.
Mhm.
You know, we had all them issues with the engineers leaving, the new engineers taking over that project. So Florida Commerce suggested we go ahead and ask for the extension, make sure we get it all done in time.
Good deal.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Woodward.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Mayor Kendrick.
Yes. Agenda item 6G, council to approve WW 620271 loan agreement. Council will take any action deemed necessary.
We've already approved the application, this is actual grant / loan agreement for the design and engineer of phase 1 of the collection system, wastewater system. It's also tied to our third RIF grant for replacement Warner lift station. This is paying for the design of that, and then the RIF grant's paying for the actual construction.
What are the percentages on this?
Trying to find the details. It's normally 820.
Two percent interest,
You see what page is that on?
20.
Six forgiveness, 175 loan. That sounds like 80/20. Good news is the next SRF for physically constrained communities is 100% grant, and we're gonna ask for everything else. We are.
Say what?
Next SRF is tied to Hurricane Helene, Milton, and Hawaii wildfires. Will be 100% grant for design, engineering, and construction for physically constrained communities.
I think we fit in that box.
Yes, we do.
Anyway, do I have a motion,
Motion.
or any more discussion? Have a motion, we have a second?
Make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
Councilmember Woodward.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Mayor Kendrick.
Yes. Agenda item 6H, council to approve a letter allowing city manager to sign hurricane funding application. And council will take any action deemed necessary. This one application or several?
So
Applications, for this, okay. Plural.
there's gonna be a lot of funding coming up soon. This is just to speed everything up. So I'll have to bring the application to y'all every single meeting. I will have to bring obviously the actual loan agreements. But we're gonna be applying for a lot of funding. You'll see in just a few minutes, some of the ones we've already started. This will make it easier on me where I ain't gotta bring it to a meeting and track the mayor down, I can decide myself.
I'm tough to find sometimes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Woodhull.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Agenda item 6I, council to appoint one citizen to serve on the Perry Fire Pension Board of Trustees and take any action deemed necessary. Did it work out with Mark?
Yes, I got finally got the insurance stuff he was asking about. Stephanie was off last week, so I got it this morning. I'm going to give it to him and let him look at it and see if he decides to do it or not.
Okay.
Maybe next meeting, I'll have an answer
Okay.
about him. I got somebody else I'm thinking about asking if he says no, but we'll see what happens with him first.
I had somebody approach me the other night and tell me if things didn't work out or whatever, they'd be interested, so. That too. Don't have that happen every day.
Maybe between one of the next couple, we'll get somebody on there.
That's right. Alrighty, we'll visit again next month. Agenda item 6J, approval of the minutes from June 10th, 2025 regular session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Woodhull.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry.
Yes.
Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. All right, John.
Got 5 things. So I remember. Told you we we're gonna be asking for a lot of money. This is our request for inclusion. Well, I just told you about it'll be 100% grant. This is only our wastewater projects. It is $164 million. Hold, there's no cap, but it's $40 million. But they told us, go ahead and ask for everything, we'll figure it out. That's just the wastewater side.
Have a motion? Need the council to approve that, right?
That's not, I don't care if you did. How do you feel about it?
Is the council okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Wow.
We're not gonna get 160 whatever, but we're gonna get probably $40 billion. This is what we're saying.
Where is this coming from?
That money.
Yeah.
Come from DEP.
State.
It originates federal, that was 1.77 billion for the SRF funds for the Hurricane Helene, Milton, and Hawaii wildfires. Then it funneled down to the state. I can't remember how it's split out there.
Yeah, that's the federal money does filter through the state agencies, I think. But that's generally how it works. That's what I've seen anyway.
That was the number we presented to, that meeting we had in Tallahassee, I don't know, about a month ago now. That's what we presented to them, and they didn't really fuss too much.
No,
This is a request for a grant.
This is a request for inclusion into their discussions when FDP gets back together, meets, will be on their list for funding.
Let's try for it.
the motion.
Yes. Second.
Councilmember Woodfox,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Yes.
Mayor Gentry.
Yes. All right,
Same group, whole separate pot of money. This is, septic to sewer conversions. We're asking for 7.35 million. Identical.
Is that-
application.
is that to pay to tie people into the sewer system? So they don't have any money out of pocket to do what they can.
Hey, one day down the road, I don't know if it's 10 years or 100 years, everybody's gonna be on sewer. Rather go ahead and do it now, have somebody pay for it.
They don't have to pay to get on it.
Right, they don't have to pay a hookup fee or anything to tie into it.
They used to.
Yeah, you're right. With this, but with this grant, they won't have to, is that correct? They don't have a hookup fee or a tie-in fee, or I can't remember the name, but impact fee, thank you. I knew there was a name, I just couldn't get to it.
Something right here,
My pen won't reach that far.
I'll put it that way.
Here, hold it still.
I'm okay with it if we can get the money. But
Anyway, you need to vote on this too. All right, have a motion.
I guess so.
Okay, so you seconded it first. Anybody?
I thought you were saying.
She said, is that a motion? And my answer is, I guess so.
So I made the motion.
Okay.
With Ms. Landry, second.
Councilmember Woodfox.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Yes.
Mayor Gentry.
Yes.
Yes, Brian.
I don't have the water one yet, but it'll be really close to the $150 million range. Banners. Bring my wife.
Oh.
We got our leaders. You are really good.
This is to hang from the poles.
Nice.
They're really big.
They are, this, is that for downtown?
We'll have them up by the weekend. We'll have to, majority of them on the weekend because of cars being parked.
Thanks.
That'll be just the. I'm chilling there and.
Yourself.
All right. Nice. One to go.
Sure, Form 1 or 6, whatever it is, I can't remember what y'all got to fill out. Form 1 through July 1st. Don't forget.
That's next week.
What about July first?
Form 1. Form 1 gotta be filled out.
Financial
Oh,
disclosure.
yeah.
When you gotta
I
do
saw
online.
that. Yeah.
You got one six, right?
Last year, the judge stopped me right at the end, and
Sure did.
I don't think everyone went away.
I was like a minute away from filing a Form 6 and then
When you log in.
Came across my phone.
It'll tell you what you have to file. I just did mine the other day, so it tells you, it actually has it for you, what you have to file.
was it $25 or $50 a day fine and accumulates up to 1,500,
Or 250.
I thought it was 250.
It's $250.
$250 a day.
I don't know what.
Yes.
what you do with that.
Huh?
Or do that.
And Sean.
He's 2 years behind.
But a year behind.
Oh, it's 365.
Oh, that hurts my back.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
It'll be all right.
Anyway, that's, yeah, July 1st, so.
They can't eat me.
mm,
Actually, it says in the rules that the person put the file is on.
I'm just hearing about
Anyway.
this stuff, so.
Is that all you got, John?
Last,
Oh,
Cal Thomas wants to buy old water well on Saxon. He just closed on the junkyard.
Did he close?
There is absolutely no chance of that property being utilized for a water well again. I'll go ahead and get that out there. We're in the process of abandoning that well at the moment.
Included there somehow that he had to cap it off correctly and environmentally sound, however all that works, and then demolish that building, and city be done with it would be awesome.
Well, he's now got land on both sides of it.
Where is it?
And I sent out letters to adjoining property owners.
By the water tower.
Across from Saxon.
Oh, by the actual water tower.
Yeah.
No, the water tower is on Baker Street, actually. Saxton and Robertson across the intersection.
Who's wanting to buy?
But it's close
Road
to it.
goes by
Yeah.
Wilson's.
Close.
Yeah, Tom.
That's
It's
that.
He bought,
Right there used to be a little kids park there. They built there years ago. No kids ever played there. They destroyed it.
they bought, okay, he bought, he had, him and his brother bought the Sun and Sand Hotel. They've had it for a long time. Then they just bought the old Kentucky Fried Chicken next to it.
I knew they bought
Then
that.
on this side, they bought Little Burrows
Oh,
junkyard. So he's got,
And
yeah.
this property, talking about there's an alleyway that cut those properties in half with a
Yeah.
wellhead there.
right,
Okay.
that's what this is.
We've already done our part, sending out the letters to adjacent landowners, and that's kind of up to y'all again, how you, what you want to sell it for, and how you want to go about it. Our rule just says, at a minimum, the assessed value. Which I would not doubt there's a building assessed value on there, but if there is, don't worry about that. I would sell it for the land assessed value. Just gonna demolish it anyway.
Yeah, pipe and all that's coming down, isn't it? More than likely. The well piping and all.
Right now, the only thing we've done so far is we had road drilling come in and remove the wellhead so they could actually camera the well to see what it would take to fill it. But that's all we've done so far with it.
What do we ask for?
I didn't look at what the assessed value was on property appraisal, but it's normally for city property, it's not right anyway, they're gonna get the showing them. Oh, that's good.
Do we know how long or how big the property is?
Do you agree that?
I think it's 1.8 acres.
I think
Is that much?
I think. It might be a little.
Anyway, so you're gonna check it. I'm gonna circle back around to that later. Okay,
But you are interested in selling it, right?
I am. Yo,
Always.
you interested in selling it, Miss Landry?
Last meeting, Ms. Woodfall reported damage to property by Duke Energy. Has that been addressed?
I think she's talking about, you were talking about the mailboxes and stuff.
Mhm.
Are they even still in that area? Are they still in the area working?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're, half of the team is in that area and now they're in the Spring Heights area.
Right.
Oh,
There's a
good.
contractor that's out there doing that work.
Well, in the area or not, they ought to be held accountable for it. Somebody ought to be.
Right. I'm not sure.
Talking about somebody contacted Danny about that.
I don't know if John did or not,
Well, Scott,
the head guy.
he's doing what Danny used to do.
We'll be honest.
Danny's bumped
Y'all
up.
had- I ain't thought no more about it since you asked,
Mhm.
because that's not something I deal with every day.
Yeah.
I think John has Danny's contact. number. So, remind him, maybe to call him.
Okay, well, just as an update, the property, that was a part of the lawsuit with City of Perry versus Sellers and Manning has been settled. All of the conditions have been met, including payment, the fence around the property, no trespassing signs. And today, John signed the warranty deed transferring the property and also with the new survey to correct the recordings in our property office, because remember, it was all over the place. I think almost all of, Mr. Horace's estates, there's been just out
Everywhere.
like outlandish, as to if they're correctly surveyed or not. So that is done and it'll be recorded. It was signed today, but it'll be recorded tomorrow.
Okay.
And also just to give an update that Elite Industry or Elite Industrial LLC with Mr. Al Smith, their lease has begun. And the 6 months lease that you all agreed to. And they probably already done it by the time I'm reporting this, because I think he sent this on Friday. That mowing the area, bringing tool trucks into the area. They didn't, I think at one time they were gonna pay for the entire rent at one drop, but they did do a deposit and they'll be paying monthly. So those are just updates regarding other property that's leased.
Very good. Thank you. Carly? Jamie?
I don't have these.
Okay. RV?
Just letting y'all know, we still flushing the hydrants every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
We've heard.
I'm sure. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle.
I'm sure y'all seen on Facebook, we actually had a good. It was a good post, but our trucks, garbage trucks, even our new truck has been down. I have 3 trucks. One truck is completely done for. We just got one of our trucks back yesterday evening, one of our older trucks. But we were back picking up garbage with a front end loader just for a day. But we do have our rear loader that, we've been using for several weeks now. I don't have word on the new truck yet as to what's exactly wrong. It was just in limp mode. So we had to have it towed.
Oh, something.
It's under warranty.
This is, sounds like a sensor.
Something to do, I think, would be exhaust or something.
Yeah. Back the RPMs down, I wouldn't let it.
Next, Somerville Electric came to work on the traffic light at Green and Center. Try to put it back up, but in the meantime, he discovered that the box is fried, the cabinet's fried. I guess some of the electrical, when it got tore down, don't know how it happened. He said while he was there, he had 10 different people stop him. He was there at night, or late that evening, wanting to know what he was doing, that they like it that way. And I've had a lot of people, they like the 4-way stop there and at Veterans and Center. And they say it flows better. And I know we had discussed it one time before, do we put it up or not? I just want to ask you all again, because this is expensive. A cabinet's $23,000.
As a resident in that area, I can confirm traffic does flow so much easier with those stop signs.
At Veterans and Center, we have some other issues from where it was pulled down, some brackets were broke, so, but that's just something we need. Is that something, do y'all want us to put the lights back up, or?
Everything's
Which
working.
one, the one by First Baptist, or are you talking about other places?
That way.
First Baptist and at Veterans at the cemetery.
If the traffic's flowing better, I'd say leave it alone.
There's no need for a traffic study there. The statute says we have to unless we're changing the speed. I would suggest we just improve the signage there because we have temporary signs now. Just improve
Yeah.
the signage, and it's working pretty well with that 4-way stop.
Yeah, I agree that the signage needs to be good because people are used to it being a, stop.
Another benefit is it's a traffic calming feature, a 4-way stop is.
Yeah,
You don't have a green light for someone to get speed going through the intersection, and it is a school zone
right.
for, 3/4 of the year. So I would suggest keeping a 4-way stop for that speed calming feature as well of the 4-way stop.
I know this is all anecdotal. I live in that neighborhood and I hate that the light is not there. But, especially by First Baptist, but I sadly ran what would have been the light by Veterans. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you know, so again, that's anecdotal if the community is not complaining, but I guess I'm just so used to it.
I've not
I
had a first
appreciate it.
complaint about,
Yeah.
and there's a lot gonna be put back up. When we
Oh,
put
yeah,
that,
I'm
when we
thinking-
put that light back up, after we had the four-way stop for a while, I actually had calls wanting to know why did we put the light back up, that it worked better. So, I mean, you're gonna get it both ways.
Well, then the salt truck took care of it, so. Yep.
You don't have visibility issues there, it's an open intersection, you don't have buildings up there close, you don't have business park that are an issue that will impede your visibility. I think it's a benefit to have, and it's all safety measure.
Do we need to vote on that or just agree to it?
We can do a resolution, what about a resolution? Can we do a resolution?
Do we need to do that?
I've never dealt with a remote tractor control device, we've always dealt with the addition of.
They've already been removed. They're gone.
Okay, well, we've got it on in the minutes that the council agrees, and I guess we can move it. So I guess through consensus, really.
Thank y'all.
All right. Oh, you have?
That's all I can think of at the moment.
She just happy to get that. So you just happy to get that.
Speaking of Somerville Electric, the intersection,
Okay, yes. he
the left,
looked at that
the left
intersection.
turn and the one at Walmart.
He looked at at it and he cannot find any issues with he checked all the timing, he's checked everything. I had him look at it when he come here.
You know what I'm talking about, though, don't you? There's not a car there, but the left area just sticks and takes the max timer anyway.
Well,
We can
there's
talk
one,
about it.
I think,
We can talk about it later.
which one are you talking about?
There's
At Walmart?
that one and 27, Hampton Springs, the same
The one at
the
Hampton
same
Springs,
arrow, going the same
27,
direction.
I've been told about it's, I guess, red on all four sides. And then one side will hang up and won't change for like 2 or 3 cycles.
The
And
north
he's checked everything, and it's not. It's been going on.
That's because the left turn signal's stuck. Hey,
I ain't had
we'll-
a problem with it, turns out. I know in the mornings coming to work, you might sit there and watch everybody go by 3 times before the light turn green for you to go north.
What
The old
intersection,
Jefferson
Could be.
Street,
what intersection is that?
Hampton Springs and 27, Jefferson and Hampton Springs,
Do
27.
the same thing at 19 in Jefferson, Puckett Road at 19. Sit there and wait and wait and wait. But it'll come.
Okay, Andrew? Are you sure?
Not care to discuss at this point in time.
Okay. Sean?
Nothing, I was off last week, so I'm playing catch up this week.
All right. All right, Ms. Leader, you got anything?
Let's see if I can read my hand. Oh, yeah, yesterday I was coming home from my daughter, she lives up at Sermons. And I came in on Jefferson Street, and in front of me was a big trash truck. I have no idea who it belongs to. The whole back end of it was black, but I couldn't see the cab to see a name or anything on it. The wind was blowing trash all over the street, all along there in front of, the businesses and everything. And aren't they supposed to have a cover over that? I know at one time they did.
It was on 221.
Yeah, well,
USDC.
but no, it was all the way in town. I was up there by the old Quinn's, right there, at that stoplight.
Like a dump body truck, big dump truck.
Yeah, yeah.
Roll
Well, the
off.
top was open. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I guess
pretty
it dumps.
Sounds like a roll off truck.
But it
It's
was-
to see Dixie County, I know they come through, Perry.
They should.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they do, I pass them some.
I couldn't see the name on it. All I saw was papers coming out of the truck all over the place.
Is it an articulated truck or is it a straight? Straight truck.
They have, I mean, they're like a,
Roll off.
it's like,
Well, they
yeah, I guess so, that have higher sides, that have higher sides.
You just contact them and just make sure everybody, you can just contact them, make sure everybody uses their covers. That's
Mhm.
just, Danielle's gonna contact them, make sure they use their covers.
Yeah, well, he did not have a cover on that one.
Cause that's a truck by definition statute.
That's right. That's right.
I'll call.
That's not one.
Okay, Ms.
'Cause
Benita?
I had a garbage truck or a truck hauling garbage yesterday, but they were pulling a trailer behind the truck.
Well, this was a,
That's how we had to haul it.
Yeah.
Or actually, that was the same thing. Sorry, getting days mixed up, that's one.
I don't think it was a city truck. I don't know. It didn't look like any of our trucks. I'm sure sorry to hear the brand new truck is down.
They're gonna find a sensor. It's bad. So, only I've got, I'm gonna ask again about the lot on the curb on Plantation. Get it cleaned up. If the bugs are spreading,
I actually have that in my capital outlay, because it's not on, we have another lot that needs to be cleaned up. as well. Over off the Alice and Kathleen and that area. We don't have the equipment or.
Got one more, I forgot. We had a
Okay.
meeting with Florida Commerce about the fire department grant, new station. And it said it ranked very, very high.
oh, good.
I think, looked pretty good about that one. They also told us to add money to our previous grant because our score had nothing to do with the amount of money. So you go up in money and not affect your score at all. So we're adding $1 million for facade improvements to be used downtown. Under CDBG, it's up to 22,000 per bill. That'd be a pot of money, $1 million that there to be used for facade improvements. We got 7 buildings downtown. That'll be very helpful.
Were they matched,
This week, this will not be a match, it would be, during your plan. We'll give you $42,000.
With only one tool.
We have that now as a match with the city with the funds.
It's like there's 29, yeah.
All right, that it? Thank y'all for coming.